welcome to Physical Therapy, a movie podcast. We're here every week talking about movies and recommending them, mostly movies inspired by the world of physical media, of which we are deeply passionate and sickly obsessed, some might say. My name is Kurt.
I am Sam.
We are also joined by our producer, Kimberly.
Kurt, Sam, lovely to be here.
The pleasure is ours, Kimberly.
Oh my God, crying.
Sam has left his microphone, removed his shirt. Still hot in Portland, Sam?
Very much so, yes. A little toasty here. It's going to be hotter tomorrow.
On today's episode, we are celebrating both the brand new Paramount release of Twister in 4K.
Hell yeah.
The 1996 action thriller classic.
That's the suck zone, baby.
And just in time for Twisters, which we have not seen yet, but comes out the day that this podcast comes out.
Very excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I am also very excited. And in honor of these two movies, we have put together a little list of some of our favorite summer films, whatever that might mean to us. Sam and I have each picked two titles that we're going to reveal to each other and to anyone out there listening.
Get ready, kids.
So since we have a lot of movies to talk about, we're just going to dive right in. Sam, why don't you kick us off with your first summer favorite recommendation?
Well, should we talk about like what our criteria for summer movies were? Like what's the reasoning behind your movies, or is that too much of a spoiler?
I went with summer releases that hold particular nostalgic value to me.
Okay.
How about you?
I looked at this as kind of a shelf pull episode that we've done before in the past, where I picked out movies that are near and dear to me, but they're not necessarily just summer releases, but they remind me of summer in some way, or they take place during the summer.
Cool. Yes, one of mine comes from the shelf, and one of mine came from the shame pile.
Ooh, fun.
Well, actually, I kind of bought it for this episode, so it wasn't in the shame pile very long.
Got it. Yeah, fair enough.
Why don't you kick us off?
Okay, so the first movie I watched for this exercise was 1997's Breakdown, starring my man Kurt Russell.
Okay, why is it a summer movie?
Well, it came out in May, so that's like spring, so not summer release, but it takes place during the summer.
Okay.
And my brother and I used to watch it all the time. And I feel like it was on network television during the summer, like all of 1998.
Okay.
I went down to my shelf to look at titles to pick out for this, and that one jumped off almost immediately. You know, they're like in the desert in it. So even if it's not the summer, it kind of looks like the summer.
The sun is out.
Yeah. And comes from the Paramount Presents line. This is just a Blu-ray, not a 4K, but it looks great. I believe it's spine number 25, if anybody cares.
Oh, no. Spines. It was only released on Blu-ray. They did not do a 4K when they put that out, unfortunately.
Were they doing 4Ks when it came out?
Good question. Perhaps not. It's been a few years since it came out, I think, so they may not have been.
Yeah. Regardless, it looks great. This movie is a 1997 thriller that stars Kurt Russell as a man. It stars Kurt Russell as a man.
It basically does. He basically plays a man, an everyman.
So Kurt Russell and his wife are on a cross-country road trip. Their car breaks down. A trucker stops to help them. They make a deal that he's going to drive Kurt Russell's wife to a diner to make a phone call about 5 miles down the road. Kurt Russell waits around all day. He ends up getting the car up and running. He drives to that diner, and the wife is nowhere to be found. No one's seen her. No one's heard of her. And everyone kind of is like smirking at him, and it's small town politics, it feels like. And then Kurt Russell bumps into the truck driver again. And the truck driver says he's never seen him. He doesn't know what he's talking about with his wife. And that's kind of where the movie really gets going. And it's just a fucking awesome 90s thriller that Kurt Russell is doing, I think, like 90% of his own stunts. There's a scene in which he like rides some rapids down a river. It is so nuts and out there, but it hits every note of what I want out of a 90s thriller. Kurt Russell's costume is so comedy. It's like a massive, way oversized purple polo tucked into like these tan khaki shorts with a shitty brown belt. He's like my dad's wet dream of an outfit.
He's like, it's 1997. What does American Man look like?
It rules, dude. It rules.
It's such a frustrating movie because you know that Kurt Russell is telling the truth, but
Yeah.
he's trying to convince anyone that he's telling the truth. And the truck driver is played by the great J.T. Walsh, who is just one of the great character actors from, particularly the 90s, and is perfectly cast in this. Like, he can be so menacing by doing so little, and therefore you're always kind of questioning whether he's menacing.
It's great. I had such an awesome time rewatching it, truly.
Who plays the wife again?
Kathleen Quinlan, right?
Yeah.
What else is she in?
Apollo 13. She's
Oh, that's right.
Tom Hanks' wife in that
Yeah,
film.
yeah. She's cool.
It's directed by Jonathan Mostow, who unfortunately directed Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, but who also directed
Uh-oh, Sam.
U571.
Oh, shit.
Dude.
Did you buy U571 4K? I know it's in one of your carts.
Dude. Well, after I watched Breakdown, I was like, yo, what's up with U571?
What is up with U571?
Yeah, so I haven't bought it yet, but it's after I finish moving, it's my treat to myself.
I feel like U571 might have been a summer film,
Could have been.
right in that zone.
Definitely had it on VHS. But that was my first choice. Highly recommend if no one's seen Breakdown from 1997. Check it out. It fucking rips. It's also like 90 minutes. It's so tight and perfect.
A movie that was not released on Blu-ray for quite a long time.
You know what? I think around the same time that this Paramount Presents came out, Imprint put one out too, because I saw an Imprint edition at Music Millennium the other day.
Oh, wow. Okay. This was a movie you were sort of...
I was searching for a long time.
You talked about it for years.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Paramount Presents version you have right now,
I think it's sold out.
I just looked it up on Blu-ray.com, and the cheapest copy, which is used from Amazon, is $349.99.
Oh my God.
It's very out of print. All right, Sam, I will meet you in 1997.
Whoa.
A couple months later, July 2nd to be specific. July 2nd, 1997. Do you know what movie this is? July 2nd, 1997.
Independence Day.
That's 96.
Damn, really?
My first film is Men in Black.
Man, yeah, that's good. That's a really good call.
97, we were 9 years old. I had not seen this movie in some time. I had it on Blu-ray. I watched it on Blu-ray, but probably 10 years ago. And in honor of this episode, I picked up a 4K from Sony. Steelbook only. If you're only looking for the first movie,
Oh,
there is like a 3-pack of all of them. I didn't want the others, so I got a Steelbook. I can tell you right now that I think I went through 4 Amazon returns before I could get one to show up to my house that wasn't like dented to absolute hell. But we got there. We got it. And let me tell you what, Men in Black is the shit.
yeah, it is. It was on at the bar not too long ago.
Just what a premise. This movie is about a sort of FBI, CIA style secret covert agency who are in charge of basically managing this planet's relationship with extraterrestrials. And they come in all shapes and sizes and personalities in this movie. It follows Tommy Lee Jones, who is sort of a kind of weathered, seasoned agent of the Men in Black, who needs to find a new partner and recruits a NYPD officer played by Will Smith. And the movie is sort of, Will Smith's indoctrination into this elite agency, as Earth is, of course, under threat of giant alien bugs. Amazing script. Really, really funny. Kim and I were laughing out loud watching this.
Yeah.
It holds up really well.
Barry Sonnenfeld.
Yeah, Barry.
Barry Sonnenfeld directed it. Will Smith especially is just hilarious in this. It is really fun.
He's amazing.
I was surprised how well most of the special effects hold up. Some of it is obviously it's 1997,
Sure.
but it didn't really pull me out of it as much as I was expecting to. And the design of the aliens, like I said, there's so many different kinds with all these different personalities and voices, and because they're coming from all these different planets.
Yeah, the concept's incredible, man.
It's incredible. It's a Marvel comic, according to the credits. Did you know that?
I didn't know. Back when we were making comic book movies that could just be like fun and kind of one-off and exist on their own.
What a time, the 90s. And yeah, we were 9 years old in 1997, and Men in Black kind of took over, I feel like, for that summer. Everybody was quoting it, like every kid saw it.
The music video and the song.
The music video and the song was so big.
Did you have this on VHS?
I don't know, actually. I don't know if I did have this on VHS. It's a movie I just remember seeing in the theater.
We definitely had it on VHS.
So did we. You didn't like rent it?
I probably rented it. Yeah.
This was like on repeat at my dad's house a lot.
Yeah. This one was, we watched it constantly. I think my brother was obsessed with it, but it was just like everyone could jump in and watch it. It was fun.
I think my dad was way, way more into Independence Day. I was probably too young to be buying my own VHSs at this time. I think this might have been a little too weird for him.
Sure.
So Independence Day was certainly on repeat, but I don't think we had Men in Black.
That's so funny.
But I do now, baby.
So definitely keeping it?
Oh, absolutely. Protecting my steelbook from dents at all costs.
Yeah.
An absolute banger of a 4K too.
Oh, hell yeah.
Perfect. It's so good. Any thoughts on Men in Black, Kimberly?
Oh, I mean, we got to talk about what's his face. I mean, so scary.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah, he's so good.
Jesus.
Vincent D'Onofrio plays Egger, who gets sugar water. It's a great Vincent D'Onofrio.
It's so good.
He's basically has his skin ripped off of his body and put on to an alien bug, but so it's like he looks like a man, but his skin is like slightly too big for the frame of the body. Just walking around with like a drooping face.
He's so committed to this.
Yeah.
It's like absolutely frightening.
His performance is amazing.
Yeah. It's a perfect genre movie, right?
It's a great genre movie.
It's a big budget sci-fi comic book thing. I mean, I joked about it earlier, but like you didn't need to do a bunch of homework to just have a good time with it.
Yeah, and it's like self-aware. Like you can feel everyone just having a great time with the premise alone.
Some of the comedy is actually like funny and like bits and not just like zingers and like...
Yeah, like the little aliens smoking in the break room as Will Smith's intro to that world is...
Totally.
The world they build is really cool, and the sci-fi questions, it raises is really fun too. Part of the joke of the movie often involves aliens living among us and being disguised as people. And so there's a lot of like 90s kind of jabs at people who may or may not be aliens, like Dennis Rodman, or, they poke fun at George Lucas and Spielberg, who were producers and on the film.
Yeah, and the effects are, it's a nice blend of practical and...
Yeah, it's ILM, Industrial Light and Magic.
Yeah, it looks really good still.
So is Twister, right?
So is Twister.
Hell yeah. Very on brand with you.
That's right.
So there you go. Men in Black. Classic.
Okay, so for my second pick, I had to go back to the 70s, man. I knew I was going to do horror.
Big J?
Was what?
Big Jaws?
No. I'm seeing it on 35mm on Wednesday, though.
Okay.
Oh, fun.
Which is great. Shout out Hollywood Theater. I wanted to do a horror movie. I didn't want to do Friday the 13th because I've talked about it on the show before. I didn't want to do Sleepaway Camp because I've talked about it on the show before. So I went with one of the most uncomfortable movies ever made, the 1974 The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, shit.
Oh, my God. That's your summer movie.
Breakdown in the Texas Chainsaw.
That's hilarious. That's so you.
They are like bright, hot movies.
They are.
I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre takes place on August 18th.
Yeah.
The middle of the fucking summer.
Yeah, it's the hottest looking movie.
Oh, my God. Bright.
Yeah.
Did you watch the second side of it?
I bought that big box second sight. It was sitting in the shame pile for a while, so it was also an excuse to get a movie out of the shame pile that I'd seen a billion times. I just hadn't seen their edition. And oh my God,
Damn.
It looks incredible, dude.
Cool.
The plot of the movie, if you haven't seen it, is 5 or 6 friends are in a van. They're taking a drive to one of their grandfather's old cabins, and they like meet the wrong cannibalistic family.
Yeah, the wrong family.
Yeah. And, the violence doesn't start going until about 34 minutes into the movie. It's like, I like that creative choice. But even before that, the whole movie's so uncomfortable, mainly because of how fucking hot it looks. And it came out in October, so again, not the most summery of movies, but it's like August 18th. It's a really intense movie that, for whatever reason, I enjoy watching. That Second Sight 4K, I'm really blown away with how good it looks.
So it's 16, right? They shot it on 16 millimeter, which is,
I think so, yeah.
you know, the 4K, I imagine you get a lot of the texture of 16, the grain.
You do. There's a lot of grain in it, but it looks really good. I mean, they just did such a good job of cleaning it up. It doesn't really blow out anywhere. There's not a lot of digital noise. It just looks great.
Yeah, I believe, Sam, that I put myself on like a waiting list for the standard edition of this Second Sight 4K.
Oh, okay.
On Diabolic, maybe last year. And I think they got one copy and they hit me up and I got it. So
whoa, nicely done.
It's hard to find. And I have just the standard one, but I have not watched it yet. I think I'll probably wait until the Halloween season.
I mean, that's its true form, right? It came out on October 1st. They knew what they were doing, but it's always struck me as such a big summer movie just because of how fucking uncomfortable everybody looks. I mean, that whole first part when they're in the van, everyone's again, this is, pre-air conditioning in cars. Everyone's talking about how uncomfortable they are.
Yeah.
I was watching it while it was hot here. It was funny because I really wanted to watch it for the pod and I wanted it to be my second movie, but I had spent a whole day moving and I was exhausted.
Yeah.
And I had been having a good time with a friend. And I was like, I got to go to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre for the pod. And I got home and my house is very empty. And so it's just me and the cats turning on Texas Chainsaw Massacre at 10 p.m. after a day where I was like, man, I would love to watch, The Rock
else?
or something right now, or something that's fun in any way.
This is the sacrifice we make.
All for you guys. No, but, watch that Second Sight. Let me know what you think. I thought it looked really fucking awesome.
Cool. Second Sight, I don't know if this is an exclusive thing with them or an all the time thing rather, but I had been circling a 4K of Texas Chainsaw Massacre because there are several versions of it. And I was going to buy just a standard one from the United States. And our friend Drew, friend of the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I think when we were hanging out with you in LA, he was actually the Second Sight one is its own transfer.
You're right.
They commission their own scan of it, which is, like you say, supposed to be incredible and superior, I think, to the other versions that exist. So I'm very happy to have it.
Their packaging's incredible too, honestly.
Yeah, it's a cool design for sure.
Okay, take us to something fun, please.
Okay, now we're traveling to July 28th, 1999. Now, when we talk summer movies, I mentioned Big J. Jaws, that's the obvious one, but I didn't want to do Jaws because it seemed too easy, so I'm going to shine a light on a little film called Deep Blue Sea.
Hell yeah, dog. Hell yeah. You ate my bird.
Deep Blue Sea is directed by Rennie Harlan. This movie stars an actress named Saffron Burrows, who I looked her up. I've seen her maybe in a couple things, but...
Was she kind of popular around that time?
I would assume. Circle of Friends was the one that I remembered being a movie with Chris O'Donnell and
I don't remember that at all.
Something readily available at your local Blockbuster,
Sure.
She's in that. She has a long career. It's just not stuff I really knew. But she's the lead of Deep Blue Sea. It also stars Thomas Jane, LL Cool J, Michael Rappaport.
Ugh.
He's pretty good in it, actually.
That dude sucks.
Stellan Skarsgård.
Oh, yeah.
And Samuel L. Jackson.
Hell yeah, dog.
Okay, so Deep Blue Sea is about a research laboratory in the middle of the ocean that used to be a facility to, I think, launch or dock, whatever, submarines in World War II. But it's basically this multi-level base in the water that goes down 3 or 4 kind of stories, and each story is serving a different purpose of this sort of scientific laboratory, where they are essentially pulling protein out of shark brains in order to create the cure for Alzheimer's.
But aren't they also enhancing their brains at the same time?
Well, you're not supposed to do that according to some law or code or something. But yes, they have been genetically modifying the sharks in order to make their brains bigger and therefore have more protein to pull. And the sharks gets smart as fuck.
Doi.
There are a lot of Jurassic Park shades in this movie, including the fact that
Without a doubt.
essentially, like, the story itself takes place over a weekend in which Samuel L. Jackson, who's a representative of the company that is funding this research operation, takes a field trip to see what they've been up to and to see if they can show any progress, or he's going to shut them down, which is basically fucking Jurassic Park. And of course, during this weekend, the sharks revolt, they wreak havoc, and the main characters of this movie are stuck like at the bottom level of this base, way, way underwater. And the sharks have broken into the base. It's slowly flooding, and they have to figure out throughout the film like how to get up to the surface, all the while evading super smart sharks. This movie is very R-rated.
Oh, yeah.
Like almost B-movie level graphic.
Did you see it in
I saw
theaters?
this in the theater.
Hell
I
yeah,
saw this
so
in the
did I.
theater. Yeah, dude.
Fucking blew my mind.
Yeah. Shout out to anybody taking an 11-year-old to see Deep Blue Sea. Like, what a gift.
Yeah, truly.
A gift that it has not stopped giving me joy.
Tom Jane's best performance next to The Punisher.
He's pretty good in The Mist.
Ooh, and he's good in Boogie Nights.
Oh, yeah. He's really good in that.
He's really just a good actor.
He's
but
a good
he doesn't
actor.
Yeah.
The Expanse.
Oh, man, Travis saw we talked about that show.
I worked on that first season with him in it.
TJ.
TJ, he's great.
It's an interesting movie. It has good characters. I like kind of the ensemble of it all.
Yeah.
And it has a complicated protagonist because she, spoiler alert for the first half an hour of this movie or something, Saffron Burrows' character is responsible essentially for all this shit going wrong because she's been modifying these brains. She's essentially like the John Hammond of it all. And you kind of think she's the protagonist throughout the first half of the film. And it's an interesting kind of relationship that you have with her as an audience member that you don't, I think, often have in these type of movies where it isn't very black and white. And then sort of little by little, she kind of recedes into the background and Tom Jane kind of takes over. But the best part of this movie is LL Cool J, who plays
The chef, right?
the chef named Preach, who is a man of faith, but a man who struggles with the temptations of this world. He's constantly talking to God. He's got a pet parrot and he's just charming as fuck in this movie.
Hell yeah, dude.
I remember
Hell yeah.
thinking that then and thinking it now. LL Cool J rules in this. The best performance I could point to of his, the second, of course, being Halloween H2O. But this movie ends, the end credits of this film
Oh, yeah.
is a track, an original track performed by LL Cool J. It's called Deepest Blue, parentheses, Shark's Fin.
What's the line? My rhymes are like a...
My hat is like a shark's fin.
Yeah, deepest, bluest.
He essentially just starts kind of rapping the plot of the movie,
Yeah.
which reminded me of my favorite closing credits hip hop song of all time, which is Travis Scott's Tenet track, which kind of does the same thing. He just sort of starts rapping about stuff that happens in Tenet.
Oh my God.
Fucking
Get
rules.
the fuck out of here. I'm surprised you didn't just choose Tenet twice for your summer movie.
Tenet's going to be a special one. We'll get to Tenet. Episode 100.
God.
Wait, episode 101.
That's when I leave. That's when I leave the show. Deep Blue Sea and Deep Rising came out around the same time. Deep Rising was 98.
Oh, shit. Is that Treat Williams?
Yeah, it is.
Damn, what's up with Deep Rising?
Dude.
He's on like a jet ski with an explosion behind him on the cover.
Yep.
Is it about sharks?
It's about some like underwater sea creature or
my God.
like alien thing. Steven Sommers directed it.
You know Kino is putting that out. That is an absolute...
Scream, I think, put it out at one point.
Okay.
The cover's incredible, but it's now like way out of print and it hasn't been around for long.
Let's sell our copies of Breakdown and buy
Dude, I think we could. I don't think it's as out of print as that Breakdown disc, but
I don't think anything is as out of print as that Breakdown does.
that's insane. I mean, fucking hell yeah, baby. But yeah, I'm trying Deep Rising whenever you want. Oh, it's Femke Jensen too.
It is Kino.
That put the. Oh, you're right. Sorry, that's.
It's $90 used.
Holy crap.
We'll start a Kickstarter.
Help us buy 2 copies of Deep Rising.
Oh my God. It really got me. A Kickstarter for $180. Honestly, maybe we should do that. That feels like such a great marketing scheme. We'll do an episode.
My mom would just be like, here you go, I guess.
Here you go.
The only people that listen to the show is our moms. So,
And Trav B.
Mom, send me
Trav
$90.
B.
Trav,
Mom, send me 90
send
bucks.
Grind $90. Now we are talking about the 1996 thriller Twister. This just received a 4K Blu-ray release from Paramount, obviously just in time for the sequel, Twisters.
A little bummed it's not on the Paramount Presents line.
It's a good question. I wonder how they differentiate which titles are and which aren't. I would imagine that because this is in promotion of the new movie, that doing something more boutique like that wouldn't be the move.
Mm-hmm. I just feel like for Breakdown to be on it and Twister not is a bit silly.
Yeah, I was almost going to say like it seems too popular for the Paramount Presents line, but Chinatown is
Yeah, it's like
so famous.
quoted as one of the greatest movies ever made, you know?
Yeah, but
Twister fucking rules, dude.
Twister rules. I saw Twister in the theater. Did you?
I did not. Damn. I was the entire time I was watching the 4K, which looks incredible. I was just sitting there thinking, how have I never seen this in theaters?
I have not seen it in theaters since, but I somehow convinced my parents to take me to this. I was 8 years old. Sam and I both grew up in the Midwest. Kim, you're from Texas. Tornadoes were a real kind of possibility where we grew up, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We weren't in Oklahoma, but we often had to go down to our basement, you know, in the middle of the night when sirens would go off. And people I knew certainly had house damage and shit like that happen from tornadoes. And I just remember this movie scaring the absolute shit out of me, particularly the opening scene,
It's so good.
which is like a traumatic depiction of a family rushing down to their storm cellar during a tornado and is very subjective. Like you don't see the tornado. It's like mostly from the perspective of a little kid as she watches, spoiler alert, for the first 5 minutes of Twister, her father gets sucked out of a storm cellar.
You do kind of go like, just let go of the door and like run into the cellar a little bit more.
You know what? I learned from the 4K that was a Spielberg note. He was like, you got to kill the dad. And I think they reshot it.
Dang, all right. That's great.
Twister is directed by Jan De Bont, our
man.
hero on this show, director of Speed.
Can I tell you an actual thought I had when the credits rolled on Twister the other day when I was watching it?
At the end.
Yes. And directed by Jan De Bont comes up. And I sat there and I went, yo, what's up with the haunting?
That's how much we love Jan.
Twister is so good that it made me reconsider the haunting.
Did you get rid of yours?
Oh, yeah. And then I was like, oh, yeah, I remember the haunting. But Twister is so good. I watched it with my friends, Emily and Trav B. Emily had never seen it. Like, edge of her seat, could barely hang on.
It's very stressful.
Oh, my God.
It's so good.
It's a vastly different movie than Breakdown, but I had the exact same thought while I was watching them, where it is a perfectly paced like thrill ride the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of tornadoes that hit this area in Oklahoma and Twister
In a day.
is like one after the other after the other after the other, and it's fucking awesome. Every time there's like a second of downtime, they're like eating steak and eggs, hanging out. It's just like, there's another tornado, and this one's slightly bigger, until they get to the boss tornado, and then they had to fight it. It's awesome, dude.
Another cool thing that Jan De Bont shares on the special features of this disc is that he wanted every single tornado in the film to have its own personality. And they're sort of scientifically graded or scaled, like F1 to F5, F5 being the big boss, the biggest of the bigs.
And they all have their own like sound effects and like
Exactly.
Complete design.
The way they move, the way kind of the level of danger that they present. It's something I didn't think about very much when we watched it the other night, but as soon as you hear that, you can really appreciate kind of how it moves you through the story in such a great way that doesn't allow it to really become repetitive.
Dude, the sound mix on this 4K is insane too.
Yeah, he actually talks about it. There's a a new special feature that's just an interview with Jan. Came out of retirement to chat, and he's talking about, he's just like a sweet little old man, and he's talking about how the movie has probably never looked better, even when it was in the theater, than this 4K disc, but certainly has never sounded as good because they remixed it for Atmos, and it's nuts.
Yeah, it was so loud.
We should say that the screenplay is co-written by Michael Crichton.
Yep.
Yeah, that was shocking.
Not based on a book or anything though, right? Just an original.
It was an original. I think he got $2 million for whatever he did for that screenplay.
What a time.
I just remember this movie being such like a cultural, we were in middle school at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like everyone was talking about it.
No, we weren't in middle school.
What's middle school mean? No, we were younger.
We were in
96?
like grade school.
Yeah, grade school.
Did you go to a school from like preschool to before high school?
I basically did, yeah.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah, you did. Yeah.
I went from K to 8.
My God.
That's why I'm like, I never really understand. Middle school, 7th and 8th grade, or 6th, 7th, 8th?
Mine
was 6th, 7th, 8th.
Mine was 7th and 8th.
So we were
How old were we?
8th grade, or 8 years old? How
We
was
were
that?
8
4th
years
grade?
old.
Oh,
Yeah.
we were young.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So like 3rd grade.
What the fuck were my parents doing taking me to this? It really scared me.
It's only PG-13.
Yeah.
I think it's because they were probably trying to make up for the fact that they didn't take me to Jurassic Park, and I never forgave them.
Oh, dear.
To this day.
Sure.
I don't know if I saw this in the theater either. I remember it was a huge like movie at home experience.
I don't remember the first time when I saw this. I think it was like down the line a little bit. I don't remember having it on VHS. I don't remember watching it at a lot of friends' houses or anything.
I feel like this and Anaconda we
Oh my
watched all the
God.
time at friends' houses.
Anaconda fucking rules.
Fucking
Where's
rules.
Anaconda on 4K?
I think it exists.
No,
It doesn't?
I've looked.
J-Lo.
So Twister, for anyone who has not seen it or
Sure.
is looking for a little refresher, is about a group of storm-chasing meteorologists who are on a mission to send an invention of theirs, which is essentially like a big tub of
Sensors.
sensors, with transmitters on them, into a tornado. And it will sort of take up these little golf ball-looking sensors, hundreds of them, and send them into kind of the internal path of this tornado and shoot back all this data about kind of the internal structure, internal temperatures, velocities, etc. of a tornado. And they can kind of do a map of a tornado that's never been done before in order to better understand the way they work, how they're formed, with the goal of developing a kind of longer runway of a warning system. And so that's what they're after the whole time. They're trying to get these sensors up into these tornadoes. So they're going into what they call the path of destruction, right? They have to like park these trash cans full of golf balls into wherever this tornado is literally going to roll through.
Yeah, that's how fucking dumb their invention is. So yeah, they got to roll them into where these tornadoes are. So the name of the invention is Dorothy.
A lot of Wizard of Oz homages in this film.
And there's 4 versions of it. They have 4 opportunities to get it up into a tornado. It's just ridiculous enough that you're like, okay, fine, you can buy into it. But at the same time, the action and the pacing is done in such a brilliant way that you're on board from literally scene 1.
And the leads are Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton. And Bill Paxton, for the first half of this film, he's tracked down Helen Hunt, and his goal is to get her to sign their divorce papers.
Yeah.
So they are estranged lovers. Bill Paxton is traveling with his new fiance, who is a reproductive therapist and is not only like a fish out of water in terms of these adrenaline junkie tornado chasers, but doesn't really fully understand that her fiance has been and is still at heart one of these people.
Isn't his nickname The Extreme?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
And
Can you imagine?
I mean, we can call you the Extreme. I feel like you've earned that, Sam.
Nah. No. I haven't chased enough tornadoes.
But one of the things that makes this movie work is the other characters that are in this kind of band of misfit tornado chasers.
Yeah.
It's stacked with great actors. Primarily Philip Seymour Hoffman. I mean,
Yeah. The late, great Philip Seymour Hoffman.
God, he steals the show. He's
He steals
so
the show.
good.
Dare I say one of his best performances?
Yeah, it might be.
He's so fun. And he's like the hype man.
The hype man. He plays a character named Dusty,
Yeah.
who's just bursting with energy, and he's sort of like, how would you describe him? Like, he's not like a surfer,
Like
bro,
he's
but
kind of stoner.
stoner.
Yeah, he's like a burnt out storm chaser where you're not really sure what he does with the crew, but that they've accepted him on. Because there was a moment there where I was like, I wonder what that guy does for work. And I was like, oh, what a depressing thought to have during a movie. And I was like, oh, he just like lives out of his car and chases storms with these fools, and then like gets fed when they go to Aunt Meg's house.
Yep. And you've also got Alan Ruck,
Yep.
who is, of course, Cameron from Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Connor on Succession.
The tourist in Speed.
Exactly, Sam, the tourist on the bus in Speed.
I forgot he was in Speed.
Hell yeah, dog.
Wow.
I've already seen the airport.
Jan.
Also in there,
Our man.
our fucking man, Todd Field, director of Tar.
He gives that incredible, he does the Star Wars reference line
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah.
It made me laugh so much this time, and it's such a stupid line. It's just, that's not a moon, it's a space station.
Yeah. It's so good.
Carrie Ellis plays the antagonist.
Yeah, Carrie Ellis, yeah.
He's amazing.
Yeah, Carrie Ellis is like basically leading a similar group of scientists, but they've got sponsorship. So they're driving around in all black uniform
So good.
minivans. They have a version of Dorothy that is, instead of circular sensors, it's squares.
Square.
Yeah. And Bill Paxton has a line where he goes, he's only in it for the money and not for the science. And
Hell
it's
yeah.
like, well, how much money is in storm chasing?
When you're sponsored.
Hell yeah. But it's just one of those great movies that the premise is a bit ridiculous. The script is a bit ridiculous, but you get these amazing, ridiculous lines where Melissa, his like new fiance,
Yep.
asks, I think, Dusty, why is Bill so important to the team? And they talk about how he can just feel storms. They're like, he can just feel when a storm is going to happen and what direction to drive in. And you're like, yeah, totally, 100%. That makes complete sense, and I'm here for it. And then it like cuts to him, and he like picks up some dirt, kind of sprinkles it around. He like stares longingly into the distance,
Yep.
and then like the sky turns bright green. He's like staring at it questioningly, and he goes, "Where we gotta go?" And then there's a line where it's like, "It's gonna be a sidewinder. I just know it."
I remember being 8 years old and being like, what's a sidewinder?
Exactly. And let's talk about it. Dusty brings it up twice. He's like, that's what we call the suck zone. And I just need to say that there's probably a better name than that you could have called it.
But all of the characters are given their moments, you know, and their chemistry with each other is really good. They talk a lot about on the behind the scenes that they shot this in Oklahoma and were more or less sort of left alone by the studio because of the proximity, you know, being far away. And Jan De Bont describes it as like them not really wanting to deal with the amount of inevitable headaches and delays that were going to come from a production as physical and honestly kind of technologically monumental as this.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, the producers came out 3 times, maybe at the most. Otherwise, they kind of left us alone. And I think that contributed to it being sort of a bonding experience for everybody. And everybody seemed to really get along and have actual chemistry and, you know, enjoyed working on the film and supporting each other. And I think you can feel that in the ensemble kind of dynamic of these storm chasers.
It really does feel like a lived-in team.
And it makes all the difference, you know?
Yeah. Yes.
For as little as we are with them, it feels like they know each other really well. And just the placement of having this new fiance and kind of learning about Bill Paxton's character through her is just so smart and simple.
Yeah. It's like totally a cinematic device, but it works really well in this movie.
Yeah. And she's great. What's her name? Jamie Kurtz. Yeah.
One thing that's cool about this movie is they weren't even sure if the technology could exist in order to make a movie like this.
Mm-hmm.
It holds up well enough. You know,
Yeah,
there's
sure.
certainly some CGI, plenty of it. They're also doing a lot of practical stuff that I would like to talk about in a second. But at the time, you know, this was like Jurassic Park, kind of revolutionary. You know, nobody had seen anything like this because it didn't exist until they made it in order to make this film, the technology at ILM.
Yeah, I heard that the concept started out as like a test for ILM to do something, and then executives saw it and were like, that's really cool. We should make a movie around that.
No, in order to convince the studio to make the film, they made the test. The test was so good that Spielberg, I think, was the one that was like, that's the trailer. Make that the trailer, the test, which is the first teaser. It's like a tornado like dropping a tractor out, and like the tire kind of in the front half of this tractor like just shoot right at the lens. And Jan at least describes like the executives in the room kind of jolting back in their seat like people watching the train arrival. Yeah, exactly.
What's your favorite tornado? And there's one answer.
The movie theater.
Oh, without a doubt.
There's a scene that takes place at a drive-in theater where people are watching a revival screening of The Shining.
Hell yeah, dude.
As if this movie couldn't get any better.
R.I.P. Shelley.
R.I.P. So many people in this movie.
This was a hard one.
In fact, the Jan interview on this new disc, there's a little in remembrance of Philip and Bill at the end of it.
That's nice.
But the scene takes place at a drive-in. They're watching The Shining, pitch black outside. Like, it's windy, but it's not raining or anything. And the crew is like kind of on the outskirts of the theater. There's a little motel right by it. So they're not watching the movie, but it's right next to them.
Yeah.
They get intel that a tornado is inbound, and not only inbound, but it's already there.
Yeah.
And then there's this shot where the twister comes from behind and through the movie screen.
It's so incredible.
Right as Jack is swinging his axe into the bathroom door, like the screen just rips to shreds and everybody starts screaming and running for cover. And it's like very, very dark. So you're only really seeing kind of a silhouette of the tornado. It's amazing. It's so effective and just terrifying.
Yeah, it's scary.
It's so great.
Yeah.
And it kind of like tears the whole like neon sign down and sends it flying. It's so good.
I feel like sometimes in movies when they try to put a movie audience in danger in order to kind of make you the extra level of afraid or something, it doesn't always work. But I feel like I remember watching this in the theater and seeing a movie theater being destroyed and just being like, what's the weather outside like?
During this sequence, a character gets hit in the head with a hubcap.
Yeah.
And if I were directing this movie, so the character gets hit in the head with a hubcap, and then Helen Hunt rushes over and goes, "Are you okay?" and kind of grabs them by the head.
Yeah.
And in my version, that same thing happens, but she grabs them by the head, and then the top of their head just slowly slides off.
I'll be honest, I kind of went, that's not going to happen, right? I couldn't remember.
Yeah. And then she's like, just screaming.
Well, Twisters 2 can be you.
I mean, that Jeep scene is incredible. Like in the ditch. It's just all practical driving.
Yes.
And it's like so
it's insane.
Visceral.
It's crazy.
They get caught, Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton get caught in a ditch where they can't drive out of it. And the tornado is like hot on their, trail. And they end up having to hide under this rickety bridge as the Jeep is being pulled away into the sky, and the boards of this bridge are like barely hanging on by their nails. It's so good.
Highly recommend.
That Jeep is sick.
Yeah.
Like, it's a pickup truck Jeep, a yellow pickup truck Jeep.
I mean, I don't know, man. Jeep was huge in the 90s.
Yeah, that was their time.
Let me tell you, they drive a Jeep in Breakdown.
90s Jeeps.
Some fun practical learnings from this disc.
Yeah. What do you got for me?
My favorite thing is there's a lot of driving shots where people are driving through rain or hail, or, they're right at the edge of a tornado. So they're being hit with hail, rain, debris. And in order to shoot this stuff in front of the picture car with the actors inside of it, they're towing on a huge flatbed that's leading them a jet engine from a Boeing 707. And they're literally dumping debris into it, and it's shooting out of this airplane jet at their car. So they like have dyed blocks of ice with milk so you can see it better on camera. And they're like shoving that into this thing, and it's shooting out wood and branches, and
it's amazing.
We used to fucking make things here, man.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this new Twister, but my expectations are high. They better have gotten a 707 jet engine involved in this new production.
Unfortunately, I don't think they have.
And there's just a lot of great BTS where you're seeing them drive these crazy caravans like that through Oklahoma.
Damn, I gotta explore that disc more.
Jan talks a lot about how physically game Bill Paxton was and how kind of crucial that was to Jan in terms of whoever he was going to cast, that they couldn't be a whiner, he says. And
he was apparently kind of a nightmare on set.
Who?
Jan.
Oh, yeah. I thought you meant Bill. Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm sure Bill Paxton was a perfect gentleman.
Yes. He seems like he's having fun. There's a lot of BTS shots of him just like carrying around a football, being a Texas guy.
I love that.
And then another fun one that they briefly show some BTS of in the newer special feature on the disc, but there's a scene at the end of the film where two characters are kind of strapped to some plumbing pipes that go deep into the ground, so it is less likely to be ripped out as this tornado comes through. And they use sort of leather belts to like tie themselves to this pipe, and the tornado goes right over them, and it's pulling them, trying to pull them up, so their feet are basically sticking straight up in the air. And most of the film is shot on location, but for this particular sequence, they basically built like a huge rotating, I think they describe it as sort of like a carousel set, where it's these two actors are essentially like being tipped, almost 90 degrees or whatever. And the camera's mounted to it, so it doesn't look like the horizon is changing. It just looks like they're being pulled straight up in the air. It's similar to how they, would have done on Space Odyssey or Inception or anything like that with the hallway.
It's the Fred Astaire
exactly
camera trick from Royal Wedding with him dancing on the ceiling and stuff.
Exactly. So it's incredibly CGI heavy, but there is a lot of practical thought put into it, which, we love.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's one of the things that makes it lasting at this point. Why we can all sit down and watch it and have a great time watching it. What, almost 30 years later?
And the cast and the characters.
Fucking rules.
Yeah. I was going to say, Helen Hunt, like at her peak.
Phenomenal in this movie.
So great.
So good in it.
So love watching her. She's incredible.
Is this back to back with As Good as It Gets?
That's 99?
Wow. Pretty much, it feels, but I'll look.
Is she on Mad About You at this point?
Yeah, I think so. Or she had just finished it. I loved Mad About You. 97 is As Good as It Gets.
Wow.
So yeah, right after.
Mad About You had to like push filming for 3 weeks because of this.
Wow.
Because it went over time.
Right before this, Sam, she does a film called Kiss of Death.
Is that a Steven Seagal movie?
It stars David Caruso, Sam Jackson, and Nicolas Cage.
All right. Say no more. I'm there.
And it's directed by Barbette Schroeder, who did Single White Female.
You just mark the day and I'm there, baby.
I also want to shout out this shot in this movie early on. In fact, I think directly after kind of the prologue we mentioned, where suddenly it's daylight.
Oh, yeah.
The music kicks in, and Mark Mancina's music is oftentimes like kind of bright and fun and 90s, like here we go on an adventure movie music. And the camera is pushing across this huge cornfield. It's just this wide expanse of Oklahoma. And from the left side of frame on a road far out, a pickup truck enters the shot, and it's far away. The camera just keeps coming in on a helicopter, and eventually like frames up the truck, and that's kind of all you see. And then somehow is sort of moving parallel to the truck, and you can see into it, especially on this 4K. It's Bill Paxton and Jamie Gertz, and they're having a dialogue scene. Yeah. And the dialogue is like, I don't even know if it's ADR. It seems like they're actually just like being recorded in the car at that time. But Jan De Bont.
I mean, we love a director who used to be a cinematographer.
You know what? Another thing I learned, Jan De Bont was a director in Holland and had to kind of start, no disrespect to cinematographers, but he had to start out as a DP in Hollywood.
Wow.
And ended up kind of doing that longer, I think, than he expected to or wanted to until he found this Speed script.
Damn.
Yeah. So his roots are in directing.
That's wild.
We got to see some of these Dutch JDB films.
Again, I'm there for it. Where's that box set?
Yeah, where's that box set? I wish. Okay, before we go, it's time to put out wishes into the physical media universe for titles on formats that they are not yet available on.
I'm so ready for this.
Ooh. Okay, Sam, you can go first. Here we go.
I wish for Dante's Peak on 4K.
I'll see your Dante's Peak, and I'll raise you a wish for Volcano on 4K.
Oh my God. Hell yeah, dude.
Hell yeah.
I was just texting with a friend of the show, Trav B, today, and he was like, wish me luck watching Volcano tonight.
Oh, shit.
I think he was just streaming it, but
Yeah.
respect. Give me that fucking 2-pack. Dante's Peak and Volcano. Volcano, what I said to him, well, he texted me, I think it's the best LA disaster movie.
Used copy on Amazon, $50. That's the cheapest you can get Volcano on Blu-ray.
No fucking way.
It has a 2.5 out of 5 video rating on Blu-ray.com. So clearly it's in need of an upgrade.
Yeah, what the hell is up with that?
Volcano is a 1997 movie about a volcano that erupts under the La Brea tar pits in Los Angeles and stars Tommy Lee Jones. I believe his daughter is Gabby Hoffman.
Oh, wow,
and
really?
Also features Don Cheadle, Keith David, and Anne Heche.
I've never seen this one.
Whoa,
Oh, baby.
Kim.
I know. I'm shocked.
I'm going to promise you right now that you're going to feel, when we watch Volcano, when Kino puts a 4K out of Volcano and we watch it, you're going to feel the same exact type of fear that 8-year-old me felt watching Twister, that the potential of a Twister would hit my house in Minnesota. You're going to feel that way about a volcano erupting under our house.
In LA.
In LA.
Wouldn't you think a earthquake movie would make...
That might be the case until you see Volcano.
Yeah, no shit.
You ever heard of hot lava, Kim?
Yeah, don't let your fucking legs melt off, Kim.
Oh.
Sam, Dante's Peak. Which one came out first?
Okay, so Dante's Peak, a 1997 movie.
Love that one.
Same year.
Yes.
So this is the asteroid.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is
the
deep
volcano version of the asteroid. Okay.
Yeah. And this is what's funny is that you just picked Volcano, which is an LA movie. I picked Dante's Peak, which is an Oregon movie.
Oh my
Wow.
God. I never put that together.
No one is safe.
It's pretty much like a fictionalized telling of the Mount St. Helens eruption in Oregon, but it's fucking Pierce Brosnan and Linda Hamilton versus a volcano. Hell yeah, dude. I remember the opening has a lot of awesome miniatures in it. And the only other scene I remember is that a couple boil alive in a hot spring.
Yeah, the hot spring. I was about to say that's
Yeah.
the one I think about all the time.
And in my memory,
It's fucked up.
it's just like two skeletons like floating in the hot
Yeah.
spring. Like
It scared me.
Yeah, for sure. They got a 2-pack of this in Daylight.
Oh my God. I was just about to ask you what's up with Daylight though.
What's Daylight?
Daylight is a 1996, I think, Sylvester Stallone movie where a tunnel like explodes and people have to get out of this tunnel, but it's blocked on both sides.
Dante's Peak Daylight double feature, $10.39 on Amazon.
I have to go. I have to buy this 2-pack.
Dante's Peak scared the shit out of me too. Did you
Dude.
see that in the theater?
I definitely did not. Saw that afterward, but there's only a Blu-ray. I also don't think it's rated super high. I'm here for it.
Director of Species, The Getaway that you just watched,
Oh, hell yeah.
Cocktail with Tom Cruise,
Okay.
and that film I mentioned a few episodes back that's coming out from Kino on 4K, I believe this month, called No Way Out with Kevin Costner and Gene Hackman.
Which we're doing an episode of, I think.
We're not, but
I thought we
I'll talk about it with you whenever you want. I'm sure
Okay.
we'll talk about it on the show.
You got it, dog.
Okay, that's it for another episode. Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you to Kimberly for producing and watching all of these classic action movies with me whenever I ask you to.
I love it. It's my favorite thing.
Thank you to Patrick Laban for our music, as always. You're hearing it right now. Sam, thank you very much. We will be back next week.
Yeah, what are we doing?
We're going to be talking about some of the things we have picked up from the biannual Criterion sale at Barnes & Noble.
Join us on this journey. Join us on this journey.
We'll see you then.